How many games have you played that say choices matter, but really it just gives you an illusion that they do? Scenes still play out the same no matter what you do, characters still die no matter what you do. Well, finally I can say a game has done it right, and that is Until Dawn. For people who like Telltale games like The Walking Dead and other similar titles from Quantic Dream like Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, this will be right up your street. But Until Dawn, in my opinion, does what those previously mentioned games do, and does them a lot better. Like I said in the opening, your choices do seem to really matter. In my playthrough I had a bad relationship with two characters, and that caused one of them to fuck the other one over and get them killed. Whereas when I went back through again and the two got on, this didn't happen. The characters are all really varied. Some of them you won't like at the start, and then they'll do something and you're like, you know what mate, you're alright. And vice versa. The story is simple cliche slasher horror. You've seen it before, but it's solidly written, and clues you find in the game world flush out the lore a bit more, none of which are key to the story. Throughout the game you'll play as all 8 characters, and each one has different characteristics and relationships with other characters. Relationships with others can be affected by actions you take as well as conversation choices you make. You can view your character's traits and relationship statuses on the pause screen, which I can see some people not liking. I'd rather have seen that stuff going on behind the scenes like in the Telltale games. Think about it in real life. You can talk to someone and mean well, but you could end up pissing them off by saying something and you wouldn't know about it until they confront you about it, so I'd recommend not checking this. I did find the character's characteristics system a bit strange. For example, some characters are considered honest, but you can make unhonest actions whilst playing as them, and I never really found it affecting the story that much as well. But characters do have a personality beyond what you mould them into. Gameplay consists of exploring, choices, and QuickTime events. I know the word QuickTime event will turn people off. None of them are particularly challenging, but they are at least actually quick and can have dire consequences on the story. I also really liked how the game makes use of the 6-axis function on the controller. You have to keep it completely still in certain scenes to hide from enemies, and my hands are more shaky than Michael J. Fox in an earthquake, so I found them tense as shit. Believe me, it's harder than it looks, and it makes sense in the context of the game. There's some really smart use of the camera during exploration. It does the fixed camera angle thing at points, which is where it really shines, because usually it's placed in such a way that you see something really creepy out the corner of your eye. Instead of controlling the camera with the right stick, this functions as a flashlight control, so you aren't in control of the camera sadly, but you know what, I never found it a problem for once. The game is insanely replayable because of all the different choices and ways the story can go, but pretty much all of the horror is lost when you replay the game, since it's very jump scare focused and you'll know where they're coming from. But for your first time through, there are some surprises in there for you. It also looks fantastic. The frame rate dips quite often, but it's not really the type of game where a rock solid frame rate is needed. The facial capture in particular looks awesome, though some of the faces the characters pull look a bit plastic, if you know what I mean. Overall though, the game's like a good shit. It's solid. It surprised me a lot, and it's one of my favourite games I've played this year. What I will say though is I don't think it's worth full price. The game only took me about 7 to 8 hours, which is a bit short for 50 quid. Obviously a great game that lasts 8 hours is better than a shit one that lasts 50. Just the content to price ratio is a bit off for me. Like I said, it's replayable, but not something you would replay straight away. It's something I would come back to after a few months or so when I've forgotten some of it. So yeah, recommended.